Good evening and welcome to Netherdale. It's a bit of a chilly night here in the Scottish borders, but we're primed and ready for round 4 of the Under-20s Six Nations International. France are the visitors to the Scottish borders this evening, and Scotland, fresh on the back of a victory over in Italy, will be wanting to make a bit of history this evening by being the first group of Under-20 Scottish international players to beat France here on home soil. Well, this evening I'm joined by Scotland's Club 15 international coach, Scott White. He'll be my co-commentator this evening. Scott, thank you very much for your time, first of all. Okay. How do you see this game panning out? Both teams have 7 points in the table. As we mentioned in the introduction there, Scotland have never beaten France at this level. This would be a fantastic opportunity for this group of players to make a bit of history tonight.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, we were fortunate enough for Sean to invite us along for one of the training sessions pre-Six Nations and pre-Club International 15, so they've got a hugely amount of exciting young kids tonight, and I'm sure they'll have done their homework on a French team. But you know, it's France, what you're expecting with France, they'll be strong up front, and you know, as long as Scotland can match that physicality up front, I'm sure they'll come out on the right end of the score at the end of the game.
Sean was talking, when I interviewed him just a short time ago, about the defensive frailties that really cost them against England, needing to tighten up defensively, because there's no question about it, they've got creativity out there in the selection. The park tonight is ideal for the type of attacking rugby he wants to play, but defensively they've got to be sharp and on the ball.
Oh, without a doubt, it's a huge aspect of the game now, defence. You know, that essentially wins or loses you games. You know, the 20s have been hugely competitive. They've lost out in fine margins to England and Ireland, but you know, they came out in the right score. In Italy they were behind with, you know, 10-12 points with 5-10 minutes to play, and you know, if there's a added incentive, you know, you see how well they celebrate that at the end of the game. So I'm sure the guys will be hugely exciting tonight, but you know, as you say and as you highlight, it's really important that they front up against a big French physical pack.
Now, the crowd played its part at Myerside when England came calling. We're, as we say, here at Netherdale in the Scottish borders. It's again an ideal evening for a borders-based Scottish crowd. Many of them will come from the local area, and it's great to see a lot that have made the journey across from France to, you know, cheer on the French side, to get a real carnival atmosphere in this stadium, this ancient old place that we're in tonight. You know, rugby's been played at Netherdale for well over 125 years now, but you know, a bit of history would be ideal for these guys tonight.
No, without a doubt. You know, being Melrose based myself and now head coach at Selkirk, I think, you know, we go on about wanting these opportunities brought to the Scottish borders. So you know, it's hugely important that, you know, the locals get behind it, and as you say, you know, there's no better way as a young kid representing your country with a thistle in your chest. But that is hugely helped by you know, hopefully a noisy crowd tonight. You know, and that's the great thing about Six Nations weekends. It's great that we're Under-20s are on a Friday night, the women are tomorrow, and then the national team on Sunday. So you know, it'd be great to see a few Frenchies across as well, and I'm sure they will be here in their numbers.
A great Six Nations weekend then starts here at Netherdale this evening with the visitors of the French Under-20 side taking on Scotland. Now, a little bit earlier on we caught up with Scotland Under-20s head coach Sean Lanier. Sean, thank you very much for your time. The French boys just arrived a couple of minutes ago when you were out on the pitch.
Warm.
Yeah, looking warm indeed, prepared for the battle tonight. You're in pretty relaxed mood tonight, but you'll know the task that's facing you against this French team that have got a lot of skill, a lot of very capable players out there.
Yeah, they've always been pretty tough, France. You know, individually very strong. It's all about the team effort tonight, off the back of a win over in Italy, first time for a while, an away win for the Scotland 20s team. So, you know, traditionally it's pretty tough to get up after a win. We need to make sure that we realise we're at home, that we're in Gala, and make it really difficult for them.
Now, this can be a fortress, a venue like Netherdale in Scotland's rugby heartland. You'll be looking at the support tonight, as they did at Myerside in that very closely fought match against England, to really play their part.
Yeah, definitely. The crowd plays a huge part. Our 16th man, but really it's about what the guys want to do tonight. Create a little bit of history. Never beaten France before at under 20 levels, so we know what we need to do. Had a really good prep week off the back of last week having a bit of a down week, and the guys know we need to play rugby. We can't not play rugby against France. We can't just kick the ball and let them run it back at us, so we need to have a really strong set piece. Our scrum's been fantastic for the first 3 rounds. Our players have played some great rugby, scored 10 tries. but we've leaked 13, so that's big for us. Our defence, we need to really work hard in our defence. That's around the fringes, but also out wide. So we know we're going to be up against it when they have the ball, so we've got to make sure we keep the ball for long periods of time.
You'd be frustrated at the manner in which you lost that game against England, and again you're talking perhaps there about some defensive frailties, but under these conditions tonight, we're here, as we say, at Netherdale. It's very calm, pitch in excellent condition. That allows you to play the brand of rugby that you were talking about there.
Yeah, we need to play with a bit of speed, we need to keep them moving, but yeah, we know what we need to do here tonight. The guys are really prepped for it, you can see that, but France, off the back of a loss, they lost their last game. It was hosing down with rain at Colwyn Bay when they played Wales, so you know, it's a lovely crispy night. You know, we want both teams to play some really good running rugby, get the crowd excited, but you know, we were disappointed with that England game. We should have won that game, and the players off the back of the win against Italy now, they know what it feels like to win in the Scottish jersey, and they know the effort they've got to put in, so we'll see how it goes tonight.
Let's start tonight.
Cheers.
Good man. Cheers. Good evening and welcome along to Netherdale ahead of the Scotland under-20s, France under-20s international in front of what looks certainly like an almost packed main stand. Still some spectators making their way to their seats just before the teams are led out onto the pitch by their respective captains. Rory Jarge skippering the Scotland side from number 8, and Jordan Joseph is also the skipper for France tonight himself. A notable number 8, a very skilled age grade internationalist, and of course now at under 20s level. The crowd have been entertained the last couple of minutes by the Gala Shields pipe band led by Pipe Major Billy Eason, and Dale Clancy, the stadium announcer, just reading through the Scotland side before they take to the park. There's a quick look at the table going into round 4 of the under 20 fixtures this evening. Of course, Scotland and France level on points, 7 points apiece, both sides having picked up victories against Italy. Scotland's a famous one away for them against Italian opposition, a close run thing, 30 points to 29 in the end. Of course, we know that the Ireland under-20s, Italy under-20s game is postponed. The England under-20s match with Wales kicked off just a short time ago. We'll give you updates and bring you updates on that fixture. But alongside me to describe the action this evening is the Scotland Club International 15s coach, Scott White. And Scott, just before the teams take to the field, how do you see this one panning out tonight?
I think we spoke about it earlier, you know, it's up to Scotland. They've really got the front up front. You know, they've got some real exciting backs out wide, so it's really important that the front up front and they get their defence organised, and I'm sure we'll see some cracking tries tonight, and what is actually a spring night.
It is. I mean, there's a spring feel. It's chilly, but there's very little breeze to speak of. It's very calm overhead and ideal conditions for Sean Leneen's brand of rugby. He's looking to very much bring in a running brand of rugby for these under-20s international players, tighten up defensively as well. But the forwards can put themselves about, and Ewan Ashman, who we're going to see this evening, had a very, very good performance, a very disciplined performance against the English opposition that did ask a lot of questions of them defensively, and perhaps it was defence that was their undoing in the end in that narrow defeat at Myerside.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, they've scored some great tries, I think, tonight as well. When they do have possession, it's really, really important that they keep a hold of ball for long periods of time and put this French team under pressure. As you see France walking out just now, I mean, they've got some big boys up front, so you know, it comes back to Scotland. They've really got to focus in and, you know, build themselves into the game early on.
Joshua Brennan, of course, in the second row for France this evening, coming off very good international stock, with Trevor Brennan part of the Brennan family dynasty. And there is a glimpse of Jordan Joseph there, the international skipper for this French side that are certainly looking to add to their winning tally this evening. Of course, themselves defeating Italy, as Scotland now are led out onto the field of play. Rory Darge, just a very confident walk from the dressing room, and the Netherdale crowd, many of them of course cheering on the Scots, but a very healthy contingent of supporters over from France as well to certainly make their voices heard as the respective teams then line up for the national anthems. Still a few spectators just making their way to the seats at the front of the Netherdale stand, but a perfect evening for rugby. And just in a few moments we will hear the two national anthems before the match gets underway. An 8 o'clock kickoff here in round 4 of the under 26 nations. But now time for the national anthems. So both anthems addressed and sung with great gusto in the main stand here at Netherdale. A few spectators just watching from across on that far side, sprinkling, just braving the elements there as the Gala Shields ex-serviceman pipe band just leave the field. Let's have a little look then at this Scottish side, and of course captained by Rory Darge in the back row, with Frostwick and Chamberlain looking to decorate the midfield. Plenty of pace in the backs, McLean and Henry on the wings, and Scott, you'll fancy that these sides can certainly cause some problems.
Oh no, without a doubt, as we said earlier, there's hugely exciting talent out width, so you know, first and foremost it's important to looking after the ball, and then hopefully we can see that wide expansive game that Sean's trying to play.
And Joseph then, Jordan Joseph captaining the side, as France are attacking the posts, the right hand side. Scotland of course in the sky blue jerseys to start the match, and France in their royal blue with the white shorts and those red socks. Early touch here as the fullback looks to play downfield, gathered by Ollie Smith. A chance for Smith to make some good headway there, eventually brought to ground just in front of the French skipper. Recycled. Cards with an early touch there. Coming on into the inside centre position, Rory McCallum trying to work it up towards the halfway line. But good interception, and France immediately looking on this opportunity to get some attacking ball inside the Scotland half of the field. Early touch there as well from Malaise, the tight head prop on towards the outside centre here, Falatia, and he's up towards the section between those 10 and 22. Once again carried forward, second row forward, Maravat looking dangerous as the half-backs linking up well. Ligarek and Dubas will certainly look to be dangerous threats in this French side. Ligarec going in again just to try and win ball for France. Does very well indeed. Good spin turn taken on there by Joseph Brennan. And the referee signalling there the French knock on. Scotland opportunity then to exit from this scrummage. And we played just over a minute of the first half. And Scott White alongside me. Scott, your early thoughts and impressions on how both sides have started the game?
I think it shows they're both trying to play a wide, expansive game. I mean, in that first passage of play, I think France have offloaded the ball maybe 3 or 4 times. So I mean, it shows they're trying to play at tempo. But if we take it back to the turnover, it's Scotland not being strong enough over the ball when they've got the first opportunity to attack, and unfortunately they got turned over on the ground there. So it was a really positive carry from Ollie Smith back off the counter attack. But unfortunately, when we tried to spin it wide, we didn't win the ball back from the ruck.
So Scotland with the first put in at this scrummage. Our referee is Adam Jones from the Welsh Rugby Union. The 2 number 9s you can see just alongside one another. Nolan Ligarec of France and Rowan Frostwick starting once again in his familiar position in the under-20s as the starting scrum half. The referee just observing the respective front rows once more as they look to engage. Second time of asking. Frostwick then will feed the ball into the scrum. It's a glimpse of some of the Scotland contingent within the coaching party. A few sitting at the back of the main stand, some down at the front of the technical area. Frostwick's able to feed the ball into the scrum, has to lunge to try and gather.
Just grab the cross. Same ball.
Scotland will have another opportunity here. And this is early tete-a-tete stuff, Scott.
Yeah, I think that's setting the tone as both front rows trying to get on top of each other, and that scrum ended up being in a wee bit of a mess. But hopefully Scotland get some parity here up front and really take it to them early on and set a marker down that they're here to be in the fight.
Spectators that have travelled from far and wide to watch this under-20s international fixture. Got a glimpse of a chap I know well from Duns who's made the 26-mile journey or so to Netherdale this evening.
Set! Keep it out,
Frostwick again, just feeding the ball into that scrum. The back row for Scotland, they've got Darge, Boyle and Brown. Again it comes out and just goes loose. Frostwick once more. On again, delivered downfield. And France have players back in numbers here just to gather some clean ball. Played forward, defensive cover provided by the Scottish fullback Ollie Smith once more. And Smith again looking to be perhaps the architect of a promising Scotland attack there, as suggesting that French players were in an offside position, carried forward though by the outside centre Matt Curry. Frostwick once again. Again Dards looking dangerous as he carries up close towards that halfway line with Frostwick once more in behind. This time it's Scotland's standoff there. Nathan Chamberlain angling a high kick. France the players underneath it, and again quality is going to be key here as they're able just to carry beyond that 10-metre line. Ligarec mopping up, and France again just playing it down the heart of the pitch, looking for Scotland perhaps to try and counter from their own 22. And again Scotland are willing runners in situations like this. And the left winger on this occasion taking Jacob Henry into contact, that's spread out towards that right hand side. And once again Ollie Smith just trying to put himself about. And Scotland have Rufus McLean starting on that right wing with Henry on the left. Frostwick again will look to make himself available, walking towards the ball with outstretched right arm. Now makes himself available, looking to deliver the box kick, which he does. And again that's just going to land on that French left hand side. And once more they look to build just short of their own 10-metre line. Quickly cycle, but certainly allow them just to build from this position at the moment, as Scotland have got a solid defensive line of players along that French 10-metre line just now. Again delivered downfield with Dubas, certainly a talented fly half, Thibaut Dubas. And then Ligarek will be looking certainly to ask questions of this Scotland side. It's been ripped, and Ligarek now has it once more. Prods it forward, right-footed. Scotland, Ollie Smith chasing back, but they've got players coming off the wing as well. Rufus McLean just covering ground very quickly there inside that 22. And once again, Scotland now have solid possession of the ball, but being forced back in towards their own 22 just now. Scott White alongside me, almost 6.5 minutes gone. Scott, France are certainly enjoying some possession here, but Scotland once more an opportunity to clear from their own 22, which they do indeed.
Oh no, it's a good kick touch from Chamberlain, but I think, you know, if you look at that, where the ball's just went out is just outside the Scotland 22, so we can say that the French have actually won that territorial battle there. There was a fair few kicks between both, but France have come out on this exchange.
Just keep the hooker there a minute.
Just looking on there at Erwin Breedy's made a couple of intelligent runs as well, gathering from underneath the high ball and trying to build attacks inside his own half of the field from France, the full-back. No number in his back in this first half. A few of the French numbers I can see are beginning to tear off the jerseys, so that's maybe something they'll need to look at. Ligarek's number 9 is almost ripped off as well. So the French players may well be missing some numbers on the back before long.
We need to work harder to get that stability, okay? And go up, not across.
Just a word from Adam Jones, the match referee, speaking to a clutch of the French forwards and certainly directing that towards the French skipper in particular. So France again with this throw in here. Guillaume Camon with the throw in towards the back of the line, and again Ligarek securing ball, taken on once more by Brennan. Into contact, there he goes. Ligarek just in behind. France knocking on, no, Scotland no immediate advantage for them. It's another French handling error, Scott, and Scotland soaking up a little bit of pressure in that section of the pitch just short of their own 22 on this occasion. But France beginning perhaps to ask one or two questions, but Scotland providing the answers so far.
Yeah, I think that was France's real first opportunity to put a few phases together, and Scotland's deep in their territory, but Scotland have just came up with a great set in terms of defensive set, and they've forced a turnover with a big tackle in the midfield that's dislodged the ball and has given Scotland the scrum from a French knock-on.
Crouch.
Cross foot then.
Bind.
In position.
Set.
As he gets the call there from Adam Jones. The referee happier with the scrum on this occasion until he penalises France there. So a well-earned Scotland penalty from the set piece, and a chance for them now to feed the ball into French territory, and France certainly will be disappointed that that little part of the game isn't working all that well just at the moment, very early stages, but that's a little reward there for Scotland's scrummaging efforts with 8.5 minutes gone. No scoring in the game, but a platform for Scotland to try and build on here, Scott.
Yeah, I think that's a huge statement, especially for the front row there. You can see the amount of line speed and emphasis that France are coming off the line, you know, so even if they can maybe take 1 or 2 steps to be slightly deeper to give themselves more time on ball, I'm sure that'll be rewarded.
Crouch. Bind. Stand up.
Once again, referee is not satisfied with the scrums, and he'll call players across for a word.
Okay, we've had 5 scrums and the ball has come out of 1, okay? I told you I expected you from the change rooms and you told me what you wanted, okay? We need to keep the gap, get our elbows nice and high and bind, and we need to be square and straight, not coming in on the angle. That is why the scrum is crabbing across, okay? That is what I expect from you, otherwise I will escalate to free kicks and penalties. Is that understood? Let's go, please.
Could be much clearer.
Yeah, indeed, and clearly giving them the benefit of the doubt at the moment, but prepared to go the way of free kicks and penalties if these persistent infringements, or what he identifies as failings in the scrum, if they continue.
No, I think the referee was very clear with his comms there to all 6 front row players, so let's see how this scrum folds out with.
Crouch.
Frostwick again will deliver. As
set.
Scotland once more, just inside French
Better, much
territory.
better.
Referee happier with the scrum. Frostwick then down the blind side, taken on there by Jacob Henry. Henry though is caught just on the edge of that 10-metre line, recycled again. And Scotland once more will look at the bulk of Cameron Henderson to do a bit of real grunt work there. It's intelligent crossfield kick there from Chamberlain. Gathered though out on that left-hand side and taken on by Greedy, full-back, as France look to try and work something from their left-hand side. And again, Ligarec over and recycling well for a French side now, just on the front foot. They're looking to build, and again their momentum just slows up slightly as it comes back once more and played downfield by Thibaut Dumas. Gathered though by Ollie Smith, and Scotland once again up towards halfway line. Good interchange of pass in there, good intelligence of Smith taking the ball on there. Chamberlain and Smith linking up nicely. Frostwick once more on towards the loose head prop there. Lambert doing very well. Up into the 22 go the Scots. Again it's recycled. Henderson once more on towards the halfbacks, and fullback Smith coming on there as Scotland this time for the first time in the game have knocked the ball forward with almost 13 minutes of the first half gone. But again Scott intelligent running. Chamberlain on towards Ollie Smith. Good work as well from the loose head prop. Thomas Lambert just making himself available in there as well. Connor Boyle being dangerous. So players from all constituent parts of the side are getting themselves involved on the front foot, and they're clearly singing from the same hymn sheet in terms of the style of play they're delivering.
Oh no, I've been really impressed with the way Ollie Smith started the game. I think he's counter-attacking, he's noticing the spaces in front of him, you know, and he's getting over the gain line the majority of the time. He's carrying it back, and then they went up the short side to release Jacob Henry, and some of the link play, as you say, between forwards and backs has been excellent there, but unfortunately they've just come up with a handling error through the pressure from France defence.
So French scrum this time. Just on the edge of their own 22 as the referee again just having a stern word with the respective front row players before he'll be satisfied for this scrum just to bind and set. Ligarec prepared and ready to feed the ball into the scrum. Frostwick just in conversation I think there with his outside centre Matt Curry. McCallum then to the left defensively, and so too is Chamberlain. And Scotland have two players across on that right hand side with the fullback deep lying at the moment. Skipper on towards Ligarec again, out towards this right hand side. Again France looking dangerous to try and bring Hole into the game here, the right winger. Mopped up by Ligarec once more, taken on again by Dubas into the central position as Ligarec scrambles for the ball, and again France opting to play it down the heart of the pitch. It bounces just in front of Ollie Smith, and Smith now has options to that right hand side. Rufus McLean pinged forward there over the head there of Ligarec, and that's an intelligent kick, perfect angle there from a Scottish point of view, and France are on the back foot at the moment with 15 minutes on the clock. No score in this game, but what about that for a delivery downfield there from McLean?
I think it's great accuracy in terms of the kick. He's put that in the corner, you know, and it's dribbled in the corner, but I also think the pace has followed that off to shy. Let's just hope Scotland put the pressure on France and don't give away any silly penalties for France to get out of their 22 with ease.
Guillaume Cameau then, the French hooker, just receiving the instructions before throwing the ball in towards the back of the line again. Maravat as well to secure possession here for France. They want to work this from their own 22 and get back on the front foot. And box kick now comes in from Ligarec. That just bounces in front of McLean. Back now towards Ollie Smith. Smith again has some green plane to run into. This runs into Joseph Moura, the French inside centre, but Scotland still have it again. Dars trying to look dangerous, and he's forced to ground. His opposite number there, the French skipper, just bundling over the Scottish captain. Over the shoulder there, and back once more go France. And Scotland had a short period of advantage there, nothing doing, so the referee will bring play back just towards the edge of the 22, and it'll be interesting to see what Scotland opt to do on this occasion. Offside decision against France. Scotland with a big call here.
I think this early on in the game, and just to make a statement, they've got to choose the posts and get the scoreboard ticking over. You know, it's been pretty tit for tat. There's not been a huge amount of scoring opportunities. So Scotland get the first penalty and choose to kick the goal, and so it's Chamberlain with his first attempt of the night.
Chamberlain then, well, he's got a perfect night in terms of little or no wind around Netherdale, and the spectators watching on as he just takes his time. He gathers the tea, has a quick drink before he'll place the tea on the ground here, and this will give Scotland a fine start to the game. 17 minutes on the clock, and an opportunity here for the Scots to take a 3-0 lead. Just looking down at some of those French players on the pitch, most of them I think now have lost their numbers from their backs. One or two players just facing their own posts at the moment. There's silence around Netherdale. Early chance then for Nathan Chamberlain to open the scoring. Chamberlain just swaying the arms side to side. Takes a few deep breaths. And here he goes then. Sounds a pretty clean strike from here. It is, it's good, it's 3 points for Scotland, and that's a good reward for a pretty solid opening 18 minutes for the home side.
I think they've started the game very well. You know, they've got an early scrum penalty. Ollie Smith's looked dangerous on the counter-attack when France have kicked, and the pleasing thing is Scotland are making France kick tonight through being well organised at defence, and that was one area that Sean highlighted up before the game. So I think the organisation defensively is making France kick, and on that Ollie Smith's looking really threatening from the back. So a really positive start, 3-0, 18 minutes played.
And again from the Dubas kick-off there, Scotland now looking to make this French side work once more as they try and build from the edge of that 22. Again, Frostwick looking to deliver a box kick, which he does, but a height and spin on the ball there, and it's chased there. McLean just trying to judge the flight of the ball and the bounce of the ball, and again that comes back on the Scotland side, but France then wins some turnover ball almost immediately. Ligarec and France will be looking now from a positive platform here just to try and work something, as Moura now out towards this right hand side. France once more attacking with some danger. Remember, they've got Dreedy and Hole as the fullback and right wing. That's the Malays, though the tight head prop, the latest ball carrier. Out once more again to Dubas out on that left hand side. France, the marauding Brennan tries to carry with purpose again, as Scotland have got a line of defensive players in position. Ligarec once more on towards Dubas in that midfield, trying to work something from a French point of view, and again Scotland just simply trying to disrupt and win some solid turnover ball themselves. Angled left-footed kick there from Smith, comes back on this right hand side, and again France tackles coming in solidly. Good defensive work there from Robbie McCallum. Ligarec again just delivering out towards this right hand side. Forwards applying some bit of pressure there, led by Maravat in the second row. Ligarec again once more mopping up, taken on there by Brennan in the second row for France. Ligarec once again on towards Dubas. He plays the ball out towards the position where Greedy once again is certainly looking dangerous, and out on that left hand side an opportunity for France as they scamper into Scotland territory. This is an important opportunity here, as Joseph the skipper could well be in for a try for France. He touches down with, well, he opts for the swan dive in the end, Eddie Jordan Joseph, and Jordan Joseph is in for the opening try of the match. Scott, 20 and a half minutes of the first half gone, but brilliant play down that French left hand side.
I think it's back to their offloading game there down the touchline. They've managed to get an offload out of contact, and that's created the space for them, and you know, they've executed the 2v1, and the number 8, the captain, goes in, kind of strolls in with nobody really back, unfortunately. But you know, Scotland they've had a hugely positive start. It's a wee blip, but hopefully they'll regroup and come back up here and, you know, put some territory and possession and some pressure back on the French.
Again, that's something that they'll be looking at from a defensive point of view, is the cover out there on that 2-on-1 situation opening up, and somebody of the power of the French skipper there was simply not going to be denied, as that's been converted. and it's a 7-3 game now with almost 21 and a half minutes of the first half gone.
No, I mean, you can see how deep France were in the attack. You know, Scotland had excellent line speed, but unfortunately they were just a wee bit too narrow, and the French centre was nice and deep there to actually play around it, and they've executed it really well.
Mofana's been also very much involved from an attacking point of view in the French side. Yoram Mofana Falatau, worth giving him a mention for the contribution he's made so far in the first half as well. Working hard, building attacks as this French side now have got Scotland back into Scotland territory, and Scotland once again have the line out down below our commentary position. It will be Ewan Ashman that will throw the ball in to this line here. Very raucous crowd now. Shot stabbed, thrown towards the front of the line. Frostwick has it once again, on there towards Chamberlain. Again now Scotland looking to build up close towards their own 10 metre line. Scotland been penalised there for taking the ball into contact and holding on, much to the delight of the French supporters, and will be interesting to see what their skipper, the try scorer Eddie Jordan Joseph, opts to do here. He's going to go for the posts.
Yeah, I think that's probably the third or fourth time now Scotland unfortunately have been turned over in that first half. Just the speed of the support players and the clean-out's just not accurate enough, and the big number 3 for France, Malou, was over the top of the ball, and unfortunately they've missed the clean-out in that. He stayed strong in that contact, and he's brought up the penalty opportunity for France to kick a further 3 points.
Real strong first 20, mate. Keep going, yeah.
Ball just topples off the tee before the kicker starts to run up, so Moura is able just to place it back on the tee again. And the crowd perfectly observing the kickers here at Netherdale. Just takes a moment. Relatively short run up, takes a step back. Here he goes then, right footed. And then from close towards that 10 metre line, just what I thought was going to be wide of the uprights. The touch judges, assistant referees looked at each other, raised the flag, and with 24 minutes gone, a penalty goal extends the French lead 10 points to 3. Scotland then with an important restart after suffering a couple of disappointments there. And Scott, what have you made of the play of the fullback Erwin Dridi? Because he's certainly, along with Falatau, the centre, have been working very hard in trying to build attacks from deep line positions. They've maybe not been finishing things off, but they've certainly been willing ball carriers from their own 22 and opening up the initial line of Scottish defence a few times.
No, exactly right, and I think they've both got that bit of game break in them. I mean, they both look kind of elusive on their feet. They've both got good footwork, and you know, to go with that, they look pretty quick out there. So I mean, they're definitely game breakers in with this game, and you know, it's important that Scotland starve France to some possession for these next kind of 5-10 minutes before half time, and build momentum into half time, and hopefully pick up some points when they're currently in the French 22 at the moment.
And then Chamberlain just tries to find the angle there, but eventually caught through as Maravat with a good solid tackle the second row forward. Scotland though just running into the French skipper, who's certainly a very solid defensive player as well as a acute finisher, as we got to see just a few moments ago with that opening French try. 25 minutes on the clock, 10 points to 3. Scotland then here at Netherdale looking to try and topple France. Would be a rare achievement for them at the under-20s level certainly, and they're moving France back just at the moment. Again, Frostwick has a little look towards his left hand side, then just finds the cutting runners there. Ollie Smith doing very well to keep his balance, still he's going. Ollie Smith, great determination here, just caught about 3 metres short of that try line. Very, very close indeed. And Scotland again just looking to try and find an end product here, as France putting bodies on the line here. Some crunching challenges coming in. Frostwick again on towards Chamberlain. Chamberlain, lovely swivel of the hips there, again up towards 3 metres, 2 metres short of the line. Frostwick in behind him. Some urgency shown here from from a Scotland point of view. Not surprisingly, a 2-1-1 situation opens up here, and surely Scotland are going to be in for a reply try. They are indeed. Scott White, how about that? What do you make of that score? And a perfect time from a Scottish point of view. They land their opening try of the evening.
I think that's great vision and to making the he got his eyes up early, out 3 or 4 players, and he's thrown it straight to Ollie Smith at fullback, who's then executed a 2-on-1 with Rufus McLean, who goes in at the corner.
Wonderful try there, finished off by McLean, but again great determination shown. Chamberlain as well on a couple of occasions, opening up a little half break, half a gap inside that 22, just providing that little bit of space for then Scotland to spread the ball, as you say, to provide a 2-on-1 situation, which ultimately ended in France being a bit caught in two minds defensively as to how to close off the Scotland attack, and the try goes the way of McLean in Scotland. So there's a tricky conversion out on that right hand side, but successful. It would level the game at 10 points all.
It's been a great reply from Scotland there, having went 10-3 down. You know, they've showed a wee bit composure with the ball in hand there, you know, and they've come back into the game now. 10-8 conversion from the touchline from Chamberlain.
Chamberlain then, here he goes, just swaying the arms side to side. Again, just taking his time over this conversion attempt. Once more silence around Netherdale, respecting the kicker. This to level the match then from the touchline. Here he goes then, quite an acute angle. Well, he's given it a real belt. Oh, that's a beauty. That's an absolute beauty. 10 points all, just short of the half hour, and a real response from Scotland, and that will hearten the supporters and the coaching staff as well. Down that right hand side, Scotland were opened up as France and their skipper crashed over for the opening try. 10-3, France then were able to build a lead, but Scotland are right back in the game, level pegging, as once more Dubas restarts the match, and Scotland find themselves approaching the half hour back on level terms. Frostwick again will look just to try and find a way of exiting this 22. The forwards just once more securing possession, and Frostwick will look to angle a box kick. And we'll see what he can do with this. Puts a bit of spin and height in the ball. Remember, not a breath of wind around Netherdale this evening. Solid challenges coming in here as France once more under a bit of pressure on the high ball, but they've secured possession. Ligarek once more onto Dubas. And again, France just trying to work it up and over the halfway line there. A high challenge coming in, Scotland fully committed there, but the risk of cards being shown for fouls when they're challenged around the neck area. But the referee just penalising Scotland here. Penalty and no more. Adam Jones will just delay play until France are back to full complement on their feet. And the Scotland second row forward there, Cameron Henderson, penalised for that high challenge. There'll be an angled kick from Dubas that takes play down towards the edge of the 22, and France suddenly have a platform again. Scott just on the half hour to put the Scottish defence under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, I don't think Sean will be happy about giving away that penalty. You know, Scotland were starting to put a wee bit pressure on France there. They didn't have a lot of numbers out wide, and you know, they put a huge amount of line speed on. Unfortunately, they've slipped up and made a high tackle. Now it's an excellent attacking platform for France.
Don't change.
France then forwards trying to get a bit of a drive on here, and once again Jordan Joseph just trying to call the shots, the French skipper, and both I think had a Victor and Connor Boyle, both sevens really been asked to support their body weight there as the tight head prop Malaise takes the ball in a bit of a spinning run. So too does Hada Victor, this time back on his feet there, the yellow distinctive scrum cap on again. Solid challenges coming in from this Scottish line of defence as Ligarek again looking to distribute back towards centre field. France are pressing at the moment, looking for a second try before the interval. Cute play here, and they could well be in for a second score. The referee signalling it's good, and France find themselves, Scott, back in front by 15 points to 10.
Yeah, 15, Dradidi runs a nice inside line off a 10. Unfortunately, Scotland player falls off the tackle and it goes in he goes in, crashes over the line on another tackle, but some slack defence in and around guard shield and unfortunately they're from Scotland, and they've paid the price essentially.
And we've talked about Erwin Dreedy's mopping up at fullback and building a few phases, carrying well inside his own half, but that was some cute back play, and Dreedy was in the right position at the right time just to finish off despite the best defence efforts from the Scots.
Yes, he's kind of hid himself in behind the ruck there, and he's picked an excellent line inside off a 10, and probably the defenders didn't notice him coming, and he's come from a blind spot and he's ran a great line inside 10 and he's went in just to the left hand side of the post for an easy conversion, for the conversion kick to go over, and now that's France stretching their lead to 17-10 with 32 minutes on the clock. It's a really important passage of play now for these next 8 minutes for Scotland. Hopefully they build some momentum. If at least probably picking up a penalty just before half-time, that would be a huge boost for them going into half-time. So it's a really important 8-minute period here for Scotland.
Eddie Jordan Joseph then, the opening try scorer, the French skipper, and then Erwin Dreedy with the second score for France. Just over half an hour played there, and it's the French skipper once again, Joseph, taking the ball in to the breadbasket there with the offload. Ligarec then, box kick. France give chase, but so does Ollie Smith. Smith high feet there, but fully committed in the challenge. Frostwick once again out there towards Scotland's number 8 and their skipper Rory Darge. Just caught sideways there. Frostwick out towards the right hand side and the inside centre again. Robbie McCallum just tries to dance his way out of trouble there. France coming solid through there. So France again conceding a penalty. And Adam Jones playing a short period of advantage.
There was contact in there. Number 15, Ollie Smith, jumped up to take the high ball, and as the referee says, there it's just a timing issue. 14 did manage to pull out of it, but he's made contact when Ollie Smith was in there, and now he's down receiving some treatment. Let's hope it's not too bad, because he's been a real kind of star in the first 32 minutes for Scotland. I've been really impressed with him.
Nathaniel Hu is the French 14, was involved in that challenge. Smith back on his feet, and Scotland back inside that French 22. Throw in here for the Scots hooker Ewan Ashman. Again, he's just taking his time, making his way across towards the edge of the pitch. And Scott mentioned it's a little like a spring evening, a bit chilly here, with this certainly snow on the hilltops, particularly around Peebles, as Ashman again is able to gather the ball from his throw-in, and Scotland now with some purpose, marching forward. Ashman in control of the ball. Frostwick again just in behind him. Scotland looking to try and straighten up. Frostwick has it again out towards this left-hand side, and Scotland through the middle. It was the left winger in the end, Jacob Henry. He mopped it towards the left, but Henry then cut a cute line underneath those posts, and that's exactly what you were calling on. Scotland back to within 2 points and a conversion underneath the sticks.
Yeah, it certainly looks like that's a play that they've been practicing and training. Ewan Ashman with the forwards set an excellent platform with a good command and drive, maybe 5-7 metres. Ewan Ashman breaks off the back of the maul, pops to Rowan Frostwick, and Jacob Henry's there on his inside to pick up a similar try to Dreedy's just scored for France. So a great reply, as we spoke about, just really important in terms of picking up points before half time. But now we go back to it, let's make sure that Scotland go in at 17 all at best. If not, they could maybe try and squeeze some pressure on these last 5 minutes. So it's back to the same again these next 5 minutes. Let's make sure they're really accurate in receiving a kick-off from France. They exit out their 22 and we get a line out far near the halfway line, and then they can regroup again.
No problems at all there for Nathan Chamberlain, and Scotland back on level terms with 4.5 minutes of this first half left to play. And France will certainly know that they're in a contest. They've created and certainly looked attractive when they've been on the front foot, but 2 tries apiece and some talking points, good and bad, for both sets of coaches to take into the changing rooms in a couple of minutes time. Scotland though from the restart again securing possession, and Frostwick just initially moving out the way. He'll go in a second time and again lining up a box kick delivered up, and that should land just beyond that 10 metre line. Once more Scotland using Rufus McLean as the leading chase runner of the high up and under. France looking to maintain some pressure here as Frostwick once again just shipped through the hands of the Scotland forwards. France though just returning with interest, and good block challenge coming in there from Gauthier Maribit. And Scotland again working it close towards their own 10-metre line, but forced back towards the edge of the 22. Smith once again trying to work his angles as Frostwick will deliver it back towards Chamberlain. Chamberlain then right-footed downfield to the second French scorer, Dridi, on there towards Dubas, and he'll angle a run. Initial tackle coming in there from Curry, but he was able to offload. Seconds coming in there from Hada Victor. Ligarek once more on towards Dridi, out on that left hand side. Quick touch from the first of the try scorers, Joseph. And France again trying to make inroads into Scotland territory. Scotland though, full challenges coming in. The left winger taking a sore one there. That is Farizi. It's prodded forward only as far as Ollie Smith. And the Scotland fullback now has a little bit of time, takes the ball into contact, requires a bit of support in behind him. Frostwick will bring such support, and again the second row's taking it in turns to carry with purpose. Henderson has certainly worked very hard in open play in this first half. So too this man in the ball at the moment, that's Mark Wilson, the tight head prop, and the loose head Thomas Lambert just over him at the moment. Frostwick again delivers one downfield. Should carry the halfway line and does. A little bit uncertainty as Scotland once more. Good challenge coming in there from Matt Curry just to slow up the initial French attack, and they're just on the back foot at the moment, but once again Scotland looking for a turnover opportunity. They've secured turnover ball, and Frostwick now will deliver back towards centre field. Chamberlain again pings one down towards that corner, not quite as much on it this time, the mark is called. And Scott White, 90 seconds of this first half left to play. Scotland supporters, I think, will be quite satisfied with the fact that it's level pegging at 17-all.
Look, it's been a very, very entertaining first half. There's been a bit tit for tat up front, but there's been some wide, expansive rugby played. I think both teams have really fronted up, and both teams are playing a really exciting brand of rugby. And you know, it's probably going to come down to who's going to finish this game the best come 60-70 minutes. Who's got the most energy in the tank, who's the better prepared, what subs are going to make an impact, and that's going to be a big factor on this game, the way as it has been the first half and the way it's going to finish.
Frostwick once more, and again the Scotland scrum half called upon just to mop things up here. Interchange, oh, that's good play here from the Scots, and taken on there by with purpose by Connor Boyle up towards the edge of the 22. Boyle then is eventually flattened. Frostwick in behind. Ashman again. Ashman just tries to find the proper angle. Offloaded once more. Chamberlain measuring pass out there towards Ollie Smith. Smith now, they're not surely gone 2-3 yards forward there, and the referee signalling that a forward pass as Smith was desperate once again to call upon the services of Rufus McLean out on that right hand side.
10 seconds.
And we've got 10 seconds of this match left to play in the first half. Certainly Scott White, again Scotland almost coming up with the end product, but this time Smith's pass just going astray.
It's the inside pass again. You know, Connor Boyle's picked an excellent line of Chamberlain there, the inside run. He's made some great yards, and unfortunately we just didn't have the composure there to execute. You know, if Ollie Smith had potentially just taken that contact and we kept to hold the ball for another couple of phases, that would have been a fantastic way to finish the first half. However, it's the French that will be in possession to end the half, and it'll be interesting to see what they do off this scrum. If they do just kick it out and then they have a chance to regroup, or if they themselves and go to attack.
And almost impromptu rendition of Flower of Scotland around the main stand just now. That gentleman there just providing a little bit of instrumental contribution. I do quite like his orange instrument there. We got a quick glimpse of that. I wasn't sure if he had a collection of those, bugles and trumpets, but the referee just watching over this scrummage just outside the French 22. Can you see the French players going back into the changing room, changing their jerseys to come out with numbers? Will the referee insist on that because there's so many of them without numbers on their back, Scott? Or will that matter too much?
It would help me out.
Oh, it'd certainly be appreciated in the commentary box, no question about it, but it is Ligarek feeding the ball into the scrum, or he was going to feed it into the scrum. The referee, though, not satisfied with the Scotland scrum. It was pinged out by Ligarek, and the players head towards the changing rooms down below the main stand at Netherdale, with the game tied at 17 points all. 4 tries, 2 apiece. There's a glimpse of the French skipper there, who scored the opening try, Eddie Jordan-Joseph, and that coming after Chamberlain had opened the scoring for the Scots for the penalty inside the 22. But 2 tries, as we mentioned. Dreedy, the French fullback, also in the score sheet for the visitors. Rufus McLean and Jacob Henry, though, with 2 first half tries in response for the Scots, and we're level at 17 points all at half time. And Scott, I think you'd agree that we'd be happy with more of the same in the second half.
Oh no, what a fantastic game of rugby. You know, it's great to see so many people here enjoying it. We ask for games like this in the border, so it's great to see the backing of it. And I mean, I think that's been backed up by the way both teams are trying to play rugby. You know, there's been 4 tries, as you say, much of the same in the second half. But I think, you know, in games like this, it's now what's the bench going to bring to the game? Are the bench going to be the changing factors of the game? But as you say, there's been a bit tit for tat. 4 tries, 2 tries apiece, and you know, I'm hugely looking forward to the second half.
Conditions, as you can see, they are almost perfect this evening, for an early March evening anyway, at Netherdale for this under-20s international. Here's the opening try. Great work initially by the outside centre, who was a fairly quiet figure, Mofana, but again just delivering a pass towards the skipper there. The centre's linking up well. He was able to hurdle the challenge. Josephine with a rather elaborate dive over the line, but why not? All credit to him. He's certainly been around the age grade system in France for a while. And Scott, again, the centres very much the architects here in creating this chance for their skipper to score the opening try.
No, definitely, they've linked very well. Unfortunately, we couldn't see that with a post protector, but you know, a couple of their tries have come through their offloading game and that exciting brand of rugby that we know the French can play, you know. And as we said, it's just a couple of offloads that they've let slip, and unfortunately Scotland couldn't smother the ball in that contact, and 13's got his hands free, linked well with his centre, and then they've executed a 2-on-1 for the captain to go in.
That try was converted from out wide, and Scotland were looking for a positive response here, and you can see 26 minutes gone, they provided that. Frostwick again has been delivering some good quick ball from the scrum half position. Again, a 2-on-1 situation opening up, and Smith linking up well across on that right hand side. Some support play as well, it was important. Matt Curry playing the pass out there towards Rufus McLean, and McLean was in for a perfect response. Here it is again, Scott.
I think if you see Owen, if we just as watch as he passes the ball, you know, his pass actually cuts out 3 French defenders and it leaves the wing really isolated. And you know, great hands in the middle there from Matthew Curry to get Rufus McLean in the corner. He's shown great pace and a good finish there also when he's come under pressure.
Now we've watched this man certainly create from deeper line positions. Ligarek with the initial pass on towards his fly half, and then it was the fullback Erwin Dreedy running in from close quarters there, but a thoroughly deserved try for someone that's certainly been working hard, at times almost behind the scenes, but here again from behind the posts. Dreedy picking a very good line, showing a great deal of strength there, getting away from the challenge of Frostwick, and then Smith to land the second try for France in the opening half. Then again, Frostwick once more, the architect for Scotland to respond, and again Jacob Henry picking a fine line there and just working his way through, huddling the challenge that came in from the French flanker there, Mathis Haddad, and he was almost caught in 2 minds there, just couldn't swivel round and stop the Scottish wing, and that try converted to bring the scoreline to 17 points all at half time.
I think it's one straight off the park. You see how far Jacob Henry's off his left wing there. He's trailing that ball. They've obviously pre-called it off the line out and been working on it. They've obviously done the analysis on the French defence, you know, and he's picked a great inside line to score just before half time to get us in at 17-all.
The Gala Shields ex-serviceman pipe band out on the pitch just now, led goes by their pipe major Billy Eason, providing some half-time entertainment. A scoreline of 17-all, perhaps a fair reflection then on the first half in terms of territory and opportunities created by both sides. And Scott, you were saying, you know, on the bench in the second half, it's going to be important to see the qualities they can bring. For instance, at scrum half, Ron Frostwick, very talented starting number 9, but to have somebody like Kyle McGee on the bench as well, he's been very much one of the players of the Super 6 campaign so far this season. He's no bad replacement number 9 to bring on.
Oh no, without a doubt. I mean, he seems to be scoring a lot of points as well for Boroughmuir, working under Graham Shielder at Super 6, you know, so it's a great option to have. He's getting exposure to the Super 6 week in, week out, and as you say, you know, he's picked up a few man of the match accolades, so, you know, to have these guys on the bench to bring an impact on and re-energise the team and put them in the right areas, make the right decisions. And you know, we're all hoping here that Scotland come out with a good result after 80 minutes, but you know, as you say, it's going to take a huge amount of effort. Sean will have them in the changing rooms at the moment. He'll just be highlighting the things that they've worked on really well in that first half, and obviously a couple of work-ons that they can take on. And you know, it's going to be a huge effort, but here's hoping that they can create some history.
And from a French point of view, they're looking at the Six Nations Championship, and we certainly hope it does reach a conclusion for all teams involved in the competition. But these age grade players, many of them coming through the under 18s, including and perhaps especially their captain Joseph, who's shown tonight his qualities in abundance as a big physical specimen. But he, although like many of these players, will be intrigued at the changing fortunes of the first 15 national side, because you know they've really come into their own in this Six Nations campaign after a fairly lengthy period of transition, and these players will certainly be looking to the future and hoping that this is no a case this season that it's a purple patch. They'll be looking to be consistent all the way through in the coming seasons.
Oh no, without a doubt, and I think it's a huge, you know, I think France especially, when you look at, you know, as you say, the first 15 at the moment, how well they've started the championship, but you know, Fabien Galtier's went in there, he's backed a lot of youngsters, and you look at Roman Ntomak and his group of under 20s who were under 20s maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and they did say that, you know, they're going to come to the fore, so I think they definitely use it as a stepping ground. And you know, likewise here we've obviously Gregor and his coaching staff in the stand tonight as well, watching our under 20s, so you know, there's definitely some talented kids out in that pitch.
Got a glimpse of the scoreline as well in the other game played tonight. A 7:45 Kickoff, a narrow lead for Wales, 14 points to 10. They lead it away at England, as the players will be readying themselves to come out for the start of the second half. 4 tries, just a reminder, Rufus McLean and Jacob Henry, the 2 wingers, scoring for Scotland. The French skipper Jordan Joseph with the opening try, and Erwin Breedy, their starting fullback, scoring the second try. There a glimpse of a few of the drummers and players as part of the Gala Shields ex-servicemen's pipe band, and they've been providing the crowd with some suitable entertainment during the half-time interval and before the match started as well. And as you say, I mean, this is when, I suppose, coaches, and you've been in this situation very recently as the Club 15 international head coach, Scott, this is when you look at the first half and try and pick the weaknesses and faults in the opposition and see what your side can do in the second period to try and get one off your international rivals, on this occasion the French under-20 side.
Oh no, without a doubt, and I think the analysis actually starts really early in the week, so they'll have had their key focuses throughout training this whole week, and you know, it's refining that, it's just picking up on the simple messages that Shade and Sean will have given the 20s, and you know, if there are things that they've picked up similar to what they've worked on through the week, I'm sure the messages will be to the point, they'll be short, they'll be sharp, and players will know exactly what they need to do for the second half to get a victory.
Coming into this game this evening, we were having a look at before the start of the game at the table, and both France and Scotland level on 7 points, both having picked up 1 victory from the 3 matches so far, both being involved in close matches with England as well. And again, if the first half is anything to go by, it could be a moment of brilliance, it could be an unfortunate slip or mistake that swings the game either way, because in that first 40 there's been times where you felt France have been on top, Scotland twice have come back from behind to level the game. It would be interesting to see what would happen if they were to get some lead to build on. They did have a 3-0 lead very early on in the game, but if they were to score the next try, it would make things very interesting.
Oh no, exactly, and I think there's a huge focus probably on how well they start this half. So how well do they exit or how well do they attack, and it's back to retaining the ball. Can they hold on to the ball for multiple phases and put that French team under pressure, and can they play in the right areas? So this first 5 to 10 minutes, they need to settle into this second half as they finished the first half. They've finished with the momentum, picking up that try at 35 minutes through Jacob Henry, so they've finished with all the momentum. So it's important that they bring that into the start of the second half, and they start the second half well. They put that French team under pressure, and as you say, instead of 3 points, if they perhaps get 7 points, how does the French team then cope with that?
Just having a quick look again at the table. Ireland topping the table in 15 points after 3 rounds of matches. England in second place, 9 points from 3 games, 2 victories and 1 defeat. And then France and Scotland third and fourth, both on 7 points. Italy have amassed 6 points so far, and Wales just at the foot of the table at the moment on 4 points, 1 win, 2 defeats from their 3 games. Of course, bonus points playing a part in sides being separated by a point or 2, even if they've won and lost at the same breakdown and ratio of games, wins to losses.
So I think when we look at that, I think it's hugely important. If Scotland win tonight, they go up to second in the table. So that's a huge statement for these kids at under 20s level. So it's a massive opportunity. But as we spoke about earlier, I don't think they've ever beaten Scotland at under 20s. So that alone, they're in the game, 17 all. So it's 40 minutes between them sitting second and also creating a wee bit of history.
There's one of the French try scorers, a glimpse of him, Erwin Dreedy, scoring the second French try. The Scotland players then leaving the Netherdale dressing room, back out on the field of play. I could spot one French change in the front row. Regis Montagny has come on, so certainly a change in the front row. There is Ewan Ashman, and he again has had a very productive first 40 minutes in a Scotland under-20s jersey, as France will get this second half underway, playing locally as we refer to it at Netherdale, towards the Sykes end in this second half, and a chance for Thibaut Dubas just to put a little bit of pressure on, a high up and under, and France again just looking to orchestrate something as Scotland gather possession from the edge of their own 22, and again they'll look to try and exit here under pressure from the French. Frostwick again, plenty of height on that box kick. France have players underneath it. Solid collision coming in there as Farisi taking the brunt of that one, but it comes back on the Scotland side once more. And Scotland again through Chamberlain this time. Easy run up, Frostwick again, just recycling through the hands of McCallum and Curry out towards the left hand side. And again Scotland with some intent. Jacob Henry already trying the board in the first half. Frostwick again recycling once and twice, and again he'll try and bring willing runners from the backs into play. Good challenge coming in there from the French skipper, just throwing up the latest Scotland attack. And in fact the French skipper, in trying to nullify that Scotland challenge, was in an offside position, so he's penalised and allowing Scotland an exit from outside their 22. Immediately Scotland have managed to win ball from that restart kick under a bit of pressure applied by the French, and now they've a set play which should find them in and around the halfway line, which it does. Not a bad delivery across the Netherdale pitch there.
I think it's some great commitment there from Rufus McLean. He's got himself up well for that box kick from Rowan Frostwick as an exit, and that's retained the possession. They've then looked after the ball for a few phases, and they've ended up getting an easy penalty from the French number 8 being offside, which he will be hugely disappointed to. So it gives Scotland a first attacking opportunity in and around the halfway line. So let's hope they look after the ball, and as the coach's commentators curse, unfortunately Ewan Ashman throws the ball and squint to that line out, so France will get the choice between a line out and a scrum.
Yeah, an unfortunate mistake there from Ashman. As we see again, Frostwick's kick downfield, again under a bit of pressure, and fully committed challenge coming in there. Nathan Farisi caught in the air. And watch on here as Legarec
will feed the ball into this French scrum now. Watched on by Adam Jones, our match official. All officials from the Welsh Rugby Union this evening.
Bind. Set.
And Ligarek now in position. Be interesting to see France having made that change. It looks as if it's at tight head, to see if they're just a little bit more stable in the scrum.
Got a really good picture my side, mate.
Just watching on here as the scrum's reset once again. So Ligarek will feed the ball once more. But France, the first team to go to the bench, looking to make the change, and that was something that the referee had to quite early on have a talk to the respective front rows in particular. After 4 or 5 scrummages, he made it clear he would award penalties of free kicks for further offences committed in the scrum or infringements.
Bind. No, you're over it.
There's a free kick awarded this time to France, and Scotland have been penalised at this latest scrummage. And France now have a 1 or 2 options here from the halfway line, just to apply a little bit more pressure on this Scotland side, as Dubas exchanging just a quick word with players to his right and left, and plants a beauty downfield inside that 22, and suddenly France have got a good attacking position in which to build here.
Yeah, under a bit of pressure. Scotland's first, it's the first real defensive set now in the second half, so we spoke about earning the right to play and stuff, but this is where games are won and lost at international level, so let's hope they put a huge defensive set together and they either come up with a turnover or a penalty, but I'm sure France will have other ideas on their mind.
Well, Hadovic did very well to initially win the ball in the line. He's gone back in just at the back of that drive there. Ligarek is in behind looking to see if he can make the ball available. He's almost working his way through it. Out he comes now at the side here. France again looking for some reinforcements. Dreedy, the fullback, is in there as it's spread out towards this right hand side. France now just bundling their way up towards that try line, but again they're just caught out on that far side. Good cover defence there provided by Frostrick and teammates, and France again just trying to work it back infield. 5 metres short of the try line. 5 minutes of the second half gone here at Netherdale. 2 tries apiece, as you'll see in the top left hand portion of your picture. 17 points all, but real pressure being applied by this French side. The first time in the second half they've had real meaningful possession inside the 22. Forced backwards there as the Scots again defending for their lives, and once more the referee is penalising the French side, who 1 or 2 players just look a little bit dejected and disconsolate getting back to their feet there, because they felt that was a very good opportunity for them to perhaps land their 3rd try of the evening. But how about this Scott White for some Scottish cover defence?
It's Conor Boyle and Rory Darge. They're working together really well as a back row. They've come up with a dominant tackle. Conor Boyle's managed to get himself over the top of the ball there and get a well-deserved penalty. The Scots then just working the play down towards the edge of the 22, as we can see a few watching on from the bench. And Scotland have certainly got an abundance of talent on that bench to bring on during the course of the second half, which is now 6 minutes old. Ashman then again, a throw in, looked to find men just at the middle of the line, and this time it was Cameron Henderson again doing very well. Kieran Watt and Cameron Henderson working hard in that second row for the Scots. And now this second half, Kieran Watt goes in just to provide a bit of support there, as again Frostrick now scampering away up towards the edge of that 10 metre line inside Scotland territory before he's eventually floored. That's a little bit of a loose pass there, but Scotland again just on the front foot, trying to look dangerous as they find gaps in this French defence. They've spread out towards the right hand side. McLean, one of the Scotland try scorers, just bundled to the ground, goes in for seconds though, and again Scotland will look to try and work something here. The referee though has penalised the Scotland side, and France with a quick advantage with their skipper here, Joseph, wanting to get on with things quickly. They feel they've perhaps got a little bit of an upper hand here on the front foot. Ligarek again trying to be the architect or something just on the edge of that 22, back towards his fly half. Delicate kick in behind that Scottish defence, could bounce favourably for France, and does, and they touch down for the 3rd try in this match. They're back in business, 22 points to 17, and once again it's working the ball out to the wedge
and out wide and down the right wing this time, providing some joy for France as they're back in front by 22 points to 17, and that's a bitter pill for Scotland to swallow at this stage in the game. But France have, for the last 2-3 minutes, Scott, really been on the front foot in the Scotland 22.
Yes, unfortunately they just didn't manage to get, they didn't manage to get out of their half well enough there. They got a good penalty turnover. They've had the line out on their own 10-metre line, and they're probably trying to play too much rugby in their own half. Unfortunately, they played to the width and they're short of a number. And number 8, Jordan Eddie Joseph, has got in and had a turnover. He's then taken a quick penalty tap, and then they've got then advantage again. So the 10's kind of got a free play. Dubai's knocked a great crossfield kick into Kulu, who goes in on the right hand touchline.
Nathaniel Halou with the third try for France, 22 points to 17. And again, the crowd really respecting the kicker here as there's almost silence around Netherdale. If this try can be converted shortly before the 50-minute mark, France with a 5-point advantage, could be 7 if this kick goes over. Again, a clean strike, ball spinning in the Netherdale sky in the air, but just wide of the uprights. Applause from both sets of supporters, Scotland fans cheering on the home support, but the French contingent will be delighted with the contribution that their side have made in this game, and they're back in front. And Scott, another replay off the try. Again, a perfectly weighted kick here from Dubas, and it was bouncing on that right hand side, and Halou just had to wait it, guide his run perfectly, and the ball bounces favourably for the French right winger to run in for try number 3. 22 points to 17. France find themselves back in front again. Scotland have twice responded with tries soon after France have scored and reached the Scotland try line, but again I would imagine that the Scotland coaching staff, as we get another glimpse of the latest French try, they will be aware defensively of some frailties there, and perhaps some questions asked of Jacob Henry and the backs and the positions they were in. But you have to say that the French standoff kick was perfectly weighted, something you'd appreciate, your skill as a kicker yourself in your playing days.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got a wee bit of vision. He's looked up and he's seen the space in behind, and I mean, it couldn't have been judged any better, and the bounce couldn't have sat up any better for the winger either. But I mean, that comes back to the 10 having a look at the space, looking for vision there, and he's got his eyes up early before he's even received the pass. He's got his eyes, he's scanning, he's looking what's in front of him, he's taking in the pictures, and it's a beautifully executed kick to the right hand corner for them to go in for their third score of the night.
30 minutes of the game left to play then, and Scotland win another penalty at the scrummage, and they'll certainly want to make this count now, as again Kieran Watt and Cameron Henderson just congratulating the work of their props there. Ollie Smith now going in, having a quick word there with Chamberlain, the fly half, and he's going to angle a kick downfield just to again give Scotland an attacking platform on which to build. A 5-point game, thoroughly entertaining game here at Netherdale.
4-6-9.
Scotland now going towards the bench, and it looks as if Kieran Watt, Gregor Brown and Rowan Frostwick are all going to be replaced. The replacements coming on: number 19 Jamie Campbell, number 20 Jack Hill, and number 21 Kyle McGee. And we talked there about McGee's qualities at scrum half, but to have Campbell on the field and Hill as well at this stage in the game is to Scotland's great advantage. Then all credit to the players making their way off the field of play. A fully committed effort from the Scotland forwards and from their scrum half Frostwick, but like for like changes there, and Scotland will look for their fresh legs. 3 of them, 3 fresh players on the field of play to do a bit of damage as they're on the front foot at the moment. Again, an early opportunity for Kyle McGee to get himself involved, but France with turnover are able to execute again an exit from their own 22 downfield, and that's a very well delivered kick as well, as it takes play back a fraction into the Scotland half of the field, and France lead by 22 points to 17. And Scott White, again, that's really what Scotland need to learn from, soaking up a bit of pressure there, France, and been able just to prod the ball downfield on the angle, taking play back towards halfway.
No, I mean, we spoke about Scotland, starting well and getting a foothold in the game, especially the way they finished the first half. Unfortunately, that was their first real attacking opportunity of this game, and unfortunately they've came up with an unforced error, and they've just compounded that again by throwing over the top of the line out. So here's a big ask for them. There's another opportunity for them to get a defensive set. So let's hope they can hold the French out and get another foothold within the game.
Greedy on towards Farisi with Ligarec in behind again. France now coming on like steam trains onto this loose ball as Ligarec with a little swan dive back towards his fly half. Dubas again a kick over, but Scotland had players well spread across their own 22. They call the mark down that left hand side. Jacob Henry there just raising the arm and just relieving a little bit of pressure as it's pinged downfield once again, and Scotland remain just 5 points behind in this game, but 3 fresh minds and pairs of legs on the field to play from a Scotland point of view, and they'll be looking to the likes of Henry to perhaps add to his try tally this evening. He scored Scotland's second try in that first half. Both wingers, McLean and Henry, with tries in the opening half of the match. 17 all it was at half time, and it's a opportunity now for France with this line out. Remember, they've gone with Guillaume Camo as their starting hooker. It's back now once more towards Dubas, and again from a central position just short of that 10-metre line. Ligarec once again trying to involve the French backs, who are delivering some cute passes now. Dubas again just extending a right arm, adjusting his position as Ligarec has a squat down. There's no immediate advantage there for France. So Adam Jones will bring play back, and France now through their fly half. Thibaut Dubas will again try and just give them a territorial advantage deeper into the Scotland half of the field. In fact, they're going to go for the posts from this range. So Scott, a successful kick here on what is a quiet night in Netherdale will give them an 8-point lead, of course, but initially I thought Dubas was going to go to the corner, but the captain had a quick word, Jordan Eddie Joseph, and it will be a penalty goal attempt from just inside the Scotland half of the field.
I think especially when you're coming to 54, 55 minutes in and around the 60-minute mark, this is when you're thinking about really winning the games. I mean, this takes them, if Joras Mora manages to kick that, the game goes out to 8 points. So I mean, that takes Scotland to 2 scores, so it's a huge kick with 26 minutes remaining essentially.
Mora then takes a step back. Here he goes then, right-footed. Again, nice clean strike. Has he given it enough? No, that's just drifting wide of the uprights there. So the inside centre, just wide of the uprights now. France look as if they're going to make further changes, this time in the front row.
Number 2.
So Loreen and Camo have been replaced, and they've gone for Zanataella, the replacement hooker, and Hegi is on as well in that front row for France. Hegi will now, as we'll get a little blast of the French national anthem as well, which will, I'm sure, be appreciated and gee up the French players and supporters. A challenge coming in there on Greedy, the French fullback. Greedy still on the deck at the moment as Scotland hack the ball forward. So France without the fullback inside their own 22 just now. Greedy still on the ground receiving a little bit of treatment. Scotland will be looking for a turnover situation here. Referee up with play, just calling the shots at the moment as France now have still retained possession of the ball despite the best efforts of the Scots. Now a breakaway on here, and again a rather loose pass as that was played forward, but credit again to the French defence, because losing the services of the fullback, they were a little bit stretched there, Scott, but the forwards and backs in turn just preventing Scotland from doing France any real damage from this breakaway.
I have to go with what I see live, and for me, he held his ground. I think he
Scott having just 1 or 2 problems with the mic. Is that tight now for you?
Are we back? Oh, we're
There,
back
you're
in
back
again.
back in business.
And I think, you know, that goes back to, you know, France are obviously, they're trying to play rugby again. I mean, you see their number 7, they're making Haddad make a line break there, you know, and he's looking to offload, and you know, that's the way they try to play this first 60 minutes. So it's really important when Scotland start to get a few tired bodies out there that they carry on speaking to each other, they carry on working and change the 3 essentially defensively left and right to try and stop as many offloads going to hand. But here we are at 56 minutes, a real good attacking opportunity for Scotland. So let's hope they've got a penalty from that scrum. So let's hopefully they kick to the corner, they squeeze them in pressure. The driving lineouts have actually looked pretty positive tonight from Scotland.
Scotland then, well again they've got McGee, who himself is a very accomplished kicker, both from the tee and from hand on the field, but it will be Chamberlain that will ping this one down towards the corner. And there again is the challenge from behind the French post essentially. That was the collision, and he seemed to go flying in there to Jamie Campbell. The Scotland lock forward and certainly taking the brunt of that one. Erwin Breedy, who has a try to his name this evening, one of 3 French players, Houle, Breedy and Joseph the skipper, with tries for France tonight. 22 points to 17. Scotland win it then just towards the middle of the line. A drive on here now if they can work something with this grouping of forwards again. Looking to just apply some pressure here inside that French 22, but once again the blue jerseyed French players well marshalled, tight in defence, and Scotland may need McGee to spread this one through the backs for a pod of forwards. That's just gone loose, and France again up with play, but the referee had spotted a double knock on. Scotland first to infringe in the knock on, and it will be another French scrum across there, just in between the channels as you'll see in the pitch. And we're approaching the hour mark in the game, and it remains 22 points to 17, so fine margins in this match, and further changes I would imagine will be made from both these sides very soon, Scott.
No, the subs will definitely come. I mean, I think, you know, you look back at that penalty kick to touch, Chamberlain's went full out, and you know, he's kicked the ball to within 5 metres of the try line. You know, and we speak about, you know, crucial parts of the game, and we speak about crucial timings of the game. You know, you look at the scoreboard in the top left hand corner there, it's 22-17 for France with just coming up 60 minutes. I mean, that would have been a huge opportunity for Scotland to exert a lot of pressure onto France. You know, look after ball, key areas of the field, squeeze the game, put some pressure on them and come away with some points. Unfortunately, they've not managed to do that, so you know, they've really got front up in this scrum, give away no silly penalties, you know, and hopefully get the ball back reasonably soon to try and put some pressure on this French team.
Yeah, Scotland certainly can address that penalty count. Not that it's been necessarily excessive in the game so far, but the next 20 minutes is going to be crucial indeed if they can add to their victories in the Under-26 Nations Championship so far this season, with that win over Italy by a single point in the last outing just a couple of weeks ago. Ligarec again feeding the ball into this French scrum. He'll be calling for it now as it becomes available for the scrum half. Oh, he's found a gap and up and over that 22, and again evading 1 or 2 Scotland challenges. Again McGee going right in there. Ball goes forward though, so Scotland will have the put in at this scrum. Is the third forward pass in this second period, and Scotland perhaps a little bit of a get out of jail moment there for the Scots, but again it was Ligarec this time taking matters into his own hands, going very direct just round the corner, straightened up quickly, and initially McGee was involved in forcing him to deliver the offload, which went forward.
Time off, we've got number 6 down.
And there's a French player receiving a little bit of treatment at the moment, and that's Michael Guia, who's in the back row with Mathis Hadda-Victor and Jordan Joseph,
Can we do a substitution? Scotland, please. Scotland, please.
French skipper. So Scotland now are going to go to the bench once more, and prop George Breeze will take the place of Mark Wilson at tight head. So Scotland again will make this change before the scrum, and Mark Wilson given full credit for his efforts, having played almost exactly an hour here at Netherdale. Scott, with your coach's hat on here, this is again a platform in French territory with a a new prop forward in there in the scrum, and the scrum has certainly been a problem at times for both sets of forward players, both packs. But if McGee can help with good feed in the scrum here, and if they can exit, opportunity perhaps to ask some more questions of this French defence, and a promising attack could build.
No, without a doubt. I think it's the importance of looking after ball, as we've highlighted already tonight. So it's a real crucial part of the game. An hour. They've not had a huge amount of territory, and they've not had a huge amount of possession this half for the first 20 minutes. France have had one opportunity and they've scored, and so it's up to Scotland to really grab this game. It's there for the taking. They've got a huge chance over the last 20 minutes, but I think we're just misfiring a wee bit. We've not looked after ball well enough, and we've came up with a couple of unforced errors which we didn't see in the first half. So it's up to Rory Darge to really grab his guys at this important time of the game, and really essentially grab the game with the scruff of the neck, and we look after ball, we play in the right areas, and we turn that pressure into points. If it is 3 points, that then gives us another opportunity potentially later on in the game to kick another 3 points.
It's number 4, not number 5.
Well, Joshua Brennan, but I think there's perhaps a problem with numbers here, because Joshua Brennan thought he was going to be replaced, but it's Gauthier Maribat who comes off, and I think they're going to bring on Jean-Baptiste Lachaise. Could be Theo William. We will see whether it's 19 or 20 that's on, but it is a change in the second row, so one thing that might be Theo William that will come on, or who is now on the field of play. We'll get confirmation of that, but France certainly have made that change again in the forwards. So a change of pace as Scotland have the put in the scrum, and again McGee, flat pass out. Scotland again looking to just try and build a solid challenge. The referee says fair on Jacob Henry there. He was lifted and brought to ground, but nothing overly dangerous. Juggling with the ball there. Scotland just losing control of that. Conor Boyle a little unfortunate there. Outstretched arms of Boyle, couldn't gather the ball in, just knocking it forward. France then latching onto ball, knocking it on themselves. The referee will bring play back for the Scotland handling infringement from Boyle, and it remains 22-17 to France.
And that's the unfortunate thing that we spoke about. We just spoke about that in terms of the importance of looking after ball, putting a wee more pressure on the French. And we've had one hit in the midfield there with Jacob Henry, and then we've come around the corner with the forwards, and these are the unforced errors that we didn't see the whole of the first half. So we just spoke about it in terms of Rory Darge. It's a great opportunity now with a break in play with a French guy down on the floor injured, so it's a great opportunity. The messages will be going on with the water carriers from Sean and Shane and his team, and it'll just be highlighting the Kiwi points and the Kiwi focuses that the players need to focus on for these last 20 minutes.
Number 12.
Joris Mora will leave the field, and the referee having to consult with the captain because of the lack of numbers on the backs of many of the players. And one of the players coming on the field to play is I think that's Edgar Routier, who starts himself with a broken number 22 in his back. So certainly been an unfortunate numbering issue for the French players, not just those that have been on the field to play, but those coming off the bench as well. Now this match has come and gone, and France lead the game 3 tries to 2, 22 points to 17. Breedy and Joseph with the tries for France. The wingers Rufus McLean, Jacob Henry for Scotland. Ligerec then feeding the ball into the French scrum, and it's controlled there by their number 20, Jean-Baptiste Lachaise. Scotland penalising, and the props been penalised there.
Coming up to make it a 4-man front row.
I think the front row subs for France have made a huge difference. They've brought a huge amount of energy and a huge amount of physicality up, and Scotland are starting to struggle in the scrum in this second half, but I think that's down to the 3 front row replacements that the French team have actually brought on at the beginning of this second half.
And again, that kick downfield takes play back into the Scotland 22. France may feel a 4th try now, as well as landing the bonus point, might be the significant score. As once again they look to throw the ball into the line. Zaran Tonelli with his first line out throw since coming on. Ligerec is in behind again. Ligerec now finds possession of the ball and back in field. France happy to go direct and be nice and central. Ligerec once more on towards his fly half, and again Dubas shows good balance there as he evades the initial challenge. Has it once more, the fly half. Dubas again just angling the run. Ligerec in behind, back row forward, had a Victor, takes the ball, his captain just over the top of him to secure possession. Handling's important here. Dubas on again towards the fullback Greedy, who was almost caught on his heels there as he received possession of the ball, but did very well. Ligerec on towards Dubas again. Dubas out towards that right hand side. France are certainly scampering around and looking to be dangerous as Hull again picks up and continues the attack, but is slowed up. Ligerec is able to deliver a flatter pass once more as French forwards swarming around the ball, and Ligerec continuing to direct operations. France again finding cute lines, but Scotland just trying to close the door on every attacking opportunity, but they are making ground inside that 22. Another phase of play prodded forward again by the fly half, that just sailing over the head. It's going to go a begging here and just carries over the dead ball line, and Scotland were defensively under a bit of pressure there.
10 white, 10 Scotland, 10 Scotland.
And again the fullback Ollie Smith had two French players round about him, and defensively had his work cut out there, Scott.
Yeah, we talk about sustained pressure. The Frenchies have held onto the ball there for multiple phases and stretched Scotland. And as you said, the bounce could have went either way. But Ollie Smith here, as we see on the telly again here, Ollie Smith's actually done very well when he's outnumbered 1-3 there. The ball could have went anywhere, but for Scotland's, I mean, it's really important that they now get a foothold in this game and try and exit out their 22 and start to try and put some pressure on the French.
Nathan Frazier and Erwin Greedy were the players just applying a bit of pressure there on Ollie Smith. We got a glimpse of the Scotland fly half, Nathan Chamberlain, who opened the scoring this evening with a penalty goal in the opening 15 minutes to give Scotland the lead in the game. He's since left the field. I think Cameron Scott is his replacement. He was certainly on the bench alongside McGee and Harry Patterson as backs cover for the Scots. Approaching the final 15 minutes of this game, France with a solid drive on here. They're going to have the advantage. They go over for a bonus point score, and France, the try scorer, surrounded by teammates there, delighted with that try. Joseph Brennan, also referred to as Joshua Brennan on our team sheet, but Joshua Brennan it is who is the try scorer this evening for France with the bonus point try, 4 tries to 2, and Joshua Brennan will be delighted with that. As Scott, you can see Scotland with the put in here under huge pressure, really just underlining the point you made about this French scrum since they made the changes. The ball just coming out there, and Brennan had the simplest of tasks to touch down.
I think there's a huge amount of power there, a huge amount of power and a huge amount of pressure, and you know they've kind of got marched back on their own ball, unfortunately, and yeah, well, it's an easy try for the French in the end, but you can't take that away from the work the 8 forwards. So you know, 15 minutes left, 10 points down with a conversion to come. There's a huge 15-minute period coming up for Scotland here.
And here's Dubas again, looking to line up this conversion attempt in that crouched position to give the French side a 12-0 lead, and certainly deserved on the play in the last 10 minutes or so. That's an excellent kick, again executed perfectly from a French point of view. All credit to them, 29 points to 17. But Joshua Brennan, as we mentioned, he goes by a few forenames on the team sheets, but Joshua Brennan it is with that 4th try. Here it is once again from a Scotland put in at the scrum, and they were in reverse and somewhat, as Brennan again found some space, and Scotland will be bitterly disappointed at how that scrum crumbled 5 metres from their own line, and how they conceded their 4th try of the evening as a consequence. Knocked on the floor there, and Scotland will have the put in at the scrum. And Scotland are going to go to the bench once again. Try scorer Rufus McLean, and I'd imagine it will be Harry Patterson, number 23, that will come on. It is indeed. I can see Patterson just making his way onto the field of play. Rufus McLean getting a warm round of applause.
Number 7, yellow.
And number 23 Harry Patterson on for the conclusion of this match. France also looking to go to the bench as well, and I think Theo William is now on the field of play.
Time back on.
And he's replaced Matthias Hada Victor. So another change in the forwards for France. The referee certainly had to consult with his the French captain on a few occasions just to confirm the correct numbers, but it is number 7 here. He's holding his scrum cap, Hada Victor, and he's had a very workmanlike performance this evening. 67.5 minutes on the clock. Scott White alongside me, the Scotland Club International coach, watching on. Scott, what can you anticipate happening now from a Scotland point of view? Can they work their way back into this game? Because for the last 10-15 minutes or so they have been on the back foot and been playing second fiddle to a very well organised French side who have clearly got quality on the bench and have brought that on to make Scotland pay.
Oh no, without a doubt they have. You know, they're looking probably more powerful now than when they did at the start of the game. But you know, Scotland unfortunately have never really given themselves a chance this second half. They've not looked after the ball. You know, they've not looked after the ball well enough when they've been in the French 22. They had an opportunity there when they kicked before, when Nathan Chamberlain kicked a penalty in the corner, and it didn't come to anything. And you know, there's been 2 or 3 unforced errors in this second half that we hadn't seen in the first half. But you know, here's a great opportunity from a great kick from Cameron Scott to the touchline, takes us up to the 5 metre line on French 5 metre line. So you know, we speak about looking after ball, we speak about crucial areas of the field. This is your perfect example. So you know, they've got to compose themselves, you know, execute the line out, and then we look after the ball for multi-phase and put pressure on this French team.
Nathan Farisi has been replaced on the left wing with I think that'll be Romain Fouzier, and number 9 as well, a replacement at the scrum half position for France. So we're pretty much emptied the bench now for the closing 12 and a half minutes of this match. Scotland though with an attacking line out. Again, they'll look to try and get a good drive on after gathering the ball cleanly in the air. And France now just split defensively momentarily. Scotland again, McGee desperate to ship the ball into a pod of forwards that form and again try to drive France back. France on the back foot just at the moment, but good solid covered defence meeting the Scotland attackers. McGee once again shipped out there. The pass was important there from Scott to keep the momentum going and keep Scotland in this portion of the French 22. They go again with some real purpose. Over the ball is Jack Hill supporting the players. France again looking to try and win some turnover, disrupt this Scotland attack as the loose head. Thomas Lambert doing very well, just an open play at the moment. McGee once again out towards that left hand side. Scotland with a little splinter there, and for a moment there I thought Jamie Campbell might have been in, but Campbell was caught. Some excellent French defensive work. McGee has it once again. McGee just dropping that left shoulder, and Scotland once more pressing this French defence. Just over 11 minutes of the game left to play. Scotland themselves seeking a third try in the match. Their 2 tries so far coming in that first half. Once more they're pressing just 5 metres from that French line, but they're having to go lateral and trying to straighten up. Ollie Smith over possession of the ball just now. Several phases of play, and the skipper Joseph again with a solid defensive tackle there from a French point of view. It's been intercepted there. Cameron Scott. The advantage was coming the way of Scotland, so it was a free ball effectively for Scott there, and the referee just brings play to a halt momentarily.
There's no need for kicking the ball away. You clearly heard the whistle. No, back on the line, please.
The French fly half there, just getting a flea in his ear from the referee. Thibaut Dubas for kicking the ball away, just again breaking up that Scotland attack there. Scott 29 points to 17. How a Scotland converted try at this stage in the game would make the final 10 minutes interesting.
And I think that's what everybody's looking for. You know, you feel the real buzz in the stand here. You know, and that, you know, we spoke about exerting pressure. You know, they've held on the ball there for 6, 7, 8 phases, and that's exactly what we were speaking about earlier. So you know, likewise again, we execute the line out, we put pressure on France. You know, and we keep the pressure on until we come away with points.
Scotland again. Oh, that's cute from the line out there. Darge again trying to work it down that blind side. It goes loose but comes back to Scotland hands once more. Scotland then still pinned deep inside the French 22, and how they seek a third try at this stage in the game. Again, the forwards as a collective just try and disrupt this well-marshalled French defence that haven't conceded any Scotland points in the second half so far. How the Scots would want to change that right now, as the Scotland supporters really getting behind their charges at the moment. McGee going in once again. He's going to distribute the ball towards the left hand side, but the referee now raises an arm and he's calling forward the Scotland skipper here. McGee makes his way forward. The French skipper is having
the man outside you who's never back on the high-most foot. If this happens again, you'll leave me with no oxen, okay? Thank you.
So he goes for a word with the French skipper, and that was also going to call Rory Darge forward there as well. But Jordan Joseph just receiving the instruction from the referee. This French defence, for the first time in the second half, got very much under the cosh.
Oh, exactly, and it couldn't be a clearer message from the referee, so it's really important that Scotland look after this ball, and you know, if they could come away with 5-7 points and, you know, potentially a yellow card, it puts for a really exciting last 8.5 minutes.
Joseph right in the thick of it defensively for France now, who once again are on the back foot, and the drive led there by George Breeze. Scotland are over, and the referee raises the arm, and a collection of Scotland forwards are over the try line for a try at such an important stage in the game, as once again Scotland go to the bench. 22 points to 29, a forwards driven try, and we'll get a look at this once again, Scott. Just who's your money on as to who's grounded the ball?
Ewan Ashman.
It will be Ashman here.
I think Ewan Ashman's got in there at the back
He
of
went
the ball.
in just towards the back, he worked his way towards the left hand side, and he's right in the centre, driven forward there by George Breeze. I think he's the man that did secure possession, as hookers very often do. They'll come in and join the drive, having thrown the ball in. And we certainly did see Ashman in our picture, receiving congratulations for more than just the throw-in. So another conversion attempt here for Scotland. 22 points to 29 with this kick to come. Cameron Scott then watching on as McGee strikes the left hand post from the conversion attempt here on the edge of the 22. He was mighty close. Here's another opportunity to watch the try. Ashman coming in, joining now. You can see him just on the right of the Scotland drive, and in there is Rory Darge as well, but I think the ball has now worked its way to Ashman and has fallen a heap. Certainly the Scotland forwards, so 22 points to 29, but McGee very unlucky there, as watching on was Cameron Scott, but it was McGee who was lining up that conversion attempt, and it came back off that left hand post.
Yellow card.
Referee said he had no option. The next time he was going to go to the pocket. Well, we're just checking to see, did he actually brandish a yellow card there? He has indeed. France are down to 14 men. And again, their forwards just losing their discipline on that occasion. Coming flying through there was the second row forward, Joshua Brennan. And it's Brennan down there, you see now, who's been adjudged to have certainly penalised the Scottish attack there, and he's been shown the yellow card as a consequence. Scotland now with their tails up, looking to do a bit of damage in this French defence. Down a man, of course, and taken on immediately was Rory Jackson up and over the halfway line. France now win the penalty as this game gets a little bit towsy out there, and France with 14 men for the next 9 minutes will have their work cut out against a Scotland team that are bound to now play to the finish, but they'll have to keep the defensive door closed, because certainly conceding against a 14 men French side would be a crime at this stage in the game.
No, I definitely would, and they got and we've missed, the guys just missed touch, so it gives a huge opportunity for Scotland. You know, they had a big opportunity there off the line out. They had a wee peel round the front, and they got turned over at the ruck, you know, but the support, you know, they've gave away a couple of penalties. Our supporting players just not quick enough, but it's a huge let off from the standoff missing touch here. So it's really important. We've struggled in the scrum, we've struggled in the set piece here in the scrum in the second half. So a quick in and out of the scrum, we shall say, and you know, we get the ball moving back into phase play.
Thibaut Dubas there, just that little bit long, and got his angles all wrong there with that kick downfield. So we're back, as you see, to halfway, and a McGee Scotland scrum. A converted try separates the sides inside the final 5 minutes, and it crumples before McGee can feed the ball in.
Time off, we have blood as well on the prop.
Blood injury. And Scotland again. I'll just patch up the hard-working forwards down there, just pitch side.
Work hard to stay up, please, okay?
And you can see that
and don't spin it around.
these sides know what's at stake. Another Scotland try not only brings them level if it's converted, but it would give them a bonus point as well. But in attack, they've certainly been fully committed as George Breeze is patched up and returns for the scrum. Again, Scott White is a wonderful platform for Scotland to perhaps apply just that bit more pressure on a 14-man French side.
No, I think they've got to dig in at the scrum. Our scrum has really struggled in the second half, so I mean, it's really important we dig in for what will be a 5-10 seconds for this scrum, just so we can get the ball back in play. Hopefully we can exert pressure on them and, you know, get a try at the end of the game.
So a chance here then for the Scots. McGee with the foot in at the scrum. Scotland voice has really been heard this evening at Netherdale, and a penalty's been awarded to the Scots, winning another scrummage battle. And of course France without the influential Joshua Brennan on the yellow card, the second row forward. So suddenly Scotland now can angle this one downfield. Chamberlain though doesn't, rather Scott doesn't find touch there, the 22 for Scotland. And France have possession just an edge of their own 22 after Scotland's number 22 was unable just to find touch. Box kick now and an exit, and again deliberately not as much height on the ball, but it's back towards Scott, and Scotland back inside their own half of the field now, looking to try and work some magic up and over halfway. They're in a hurry, not surprisingly. McGee goes in to make himself available and distribute for the Scots, goes in the second time and does so. And again it comes through the hands of Scott once more out towards that left hand side. We've got another Scott with us, Scott White. We're watching on, we'll get his thoughts on potentially who's the man of the match at the end of this game. Still a minute or so to think about that one, as Alex Maxwell off the bench as well takes the ball, takes it into full contact there from upright position. Spread wide, and Scotland again just now trying to find a gap, but the French skipper scoring the Scotland ball carrier on that Scotland 10. Scotland with the advantage here, as again going in fully committed. There's Cameron Henderson. 90 seconds of this game left to play. McGee now's away. McGee straightens up. McGee still going. Brilliant tackle coming in there, just on the edge of the 22. Scotland now recycle again. Rory Jackson this time, the replacement hooker. Ball goes loose, picked up though by Henderson. And Scotland getting close towards the edge of the 22. McGee again, making the ball available towards Rory Jackson. McGee once more. Scotland, the crowd very much behind them. Almost a fraction forward with the pass there, the referee. But a crossing as well. So Scotland obstructing there. And one of the players involved is Connor Boyle, I think. And one or two Scotland players now with hands behind heads there, because that was a real chance, and they had a spring in the step there, Scott White, and very much on the front foot. That pass just a little bit loose as well, and France have now found touch, and we have 30 seconds of this game left to play.
No, I think you look back to, you know, we had a penalty opportunity there with Cameron Scott, and unfortunately he's missed touch, and, you know, albeit it was exciting, and it's maybe, you know, you look back on it now, you know, Kyle McGee takes a quick tap, but would it have been better to go to the corner and go to set piece and put a wee bit of pressure on? You know, I think Kyle McGee's taken a quick tap, and he's actually caught a lot of Scottish boys off guard also, so you know, this is probably the last play of the game here, so
time is yours.
The French skipper has the ball, time is his. He's just going to Play down the clock.
Time.
Walks into touch there. The referee blows for full time. France celebrate a bonus point victory by 29 points to 22 here at Netherdale. And it's been a noisy, at times raucous Netherdale, but Scotland just falling short, and perhaps again one or two questions asked of their defensive skill set in the second half, perhaps in particular, but a thoroughly entertaining game. Take nothing away from both sets of players, and the Scotland under-20 side up against a very talented group of French players going toe-to-toe with them. But apart from a period in the second half where they were soaking up a lot of French pressure and unable to get a ball inside the French 22 themselves, you feel that there wasn't a whole lot wrong with the Scotland attacking performance this evening. It was just simply cancelling out or cutting out these defensive mistakes and perhaps working on the penalty count, which started to creep up in that second half.
No, yeah, and I mean, we spoke about, you know, looking after ball in crucial areas of the pitch, and, you know, unforced errors. You know, we didn't have many unforced errors in the first half. You know, in the first 15 minutes of that second half, we came up with 3 unforced errors, and, you know, when you've got pressure and when you're in the areas of that field, you know, it's important you look after ball and don't give France any easy turnovers or easy get-outs, you know, and they've probably done that at the start of the second half. We didn't really give ourselves a foothold or a chance in the game, and, you know, unfortunately they've come short there at the end, but you can't fault the effort. You know, there's a huge amount of effort in there, a huge amount of work rate, but France have proved too strong in the end.
France then with a bonus point victory. Tries in the first half. Opening the try account was the skipper Jordan Joseph with the opening try, then Erwin Dreedy, the starting fullback, with try number 2, Nathan Hull with the third try, and Joshua Brennan with try number 4, completing the French try scoring feat this evening. Rufus McLean, Ewan Ashman and Jacob Henry though replying for the Scots, with McLean and Henry's tries coming in the first half, and Ewan Ashman setting up a bit of a grandstand finish in the end, with France also down to 14 men for the closing stages, with Joshua Brennan the only player shown a yellow card by our match official Adam Jones this evening. And I think the referee deserves credit as well, because he had a firm grip in the game, allowed the game to flow, just the one card, and tried to certainly set about the deficiencies in the respective scrums early on to make sure that scrums could be completed without him constantly having to intervene all the time.
Yeah, his messages were very clear and short and to the point, you know, and I think he ref the game very well. He let it flow, and credit to him.
Scott, as well, you've had time to identify one or two players that may be in line for man of the match awards this evening. Who would you go with in the end? It's a tough call.
Yeah, I mean, I think his creativity from the back, and he looked really dangerous with ball in hand, and he scored a try just there before half time in the first half. We didn't see a lot of him in the second half, but I thought his counter-attack, and every time he had ball, hand and ball, it goes to number 15, Erwin Dreedy tonight.
So the French fullback, Erwin Dreedy, is the under-20s man of the match this evening. This is the French try, the opening French try. Good break initially there by Monifana, and out towards the inside centre against support run from Mora on towards the French skipper Jordan Joseph, and Joseph there allowing himself a swan dive there, a bit spectacular, but why not? And those on the bench immediately congratulating the skipper, and first at international level at least see his talents at under 18 level. But there again the centres linking up very well indeed, and all credit as well to the support earlier on in the move from the left winger Farizer, and it's the skipper who's underneath the posts for the opening try of the night, that coming after Scotland had taken a 3-0 lead. Here's the conversion attempt from out wide as well. At that stage, France were 7-3 in front, then they opened up a 10-3 lead with a penalty goal, but Scotland were able to hit back with a try of their own, and this is their opening try, perfectly finished by Rufus McLean after some good work from Matt Curry.
Yeah, and we spoke about it at half time, but I think it's the vision there of the scrum half who misses out 3 Scotland attackers, but in that also he takes out 3 French defenders, and then he creates a 2-on-1, but fair play to Rufus McLean there in the corner to finish it under the pressure of Mofana.
And again, the pass here from Frostwick, and this was really setting up perfectly the try scoring opportunity. Just a weighted pass, as you say, taking out 3 men, making the job that little bit easier for the winger, because it was the outside centre Mofana who was covering across defensively, could not stop Rufus McLean for scoring the try. This is your man of the match's try here, Scott. Erwin Breedy, again a fine line as he comes onto the ball, little pop pass in there from Thibaut Dubas, the fly half, and he still had some work to do to finish it off for the second French try of the night.
Oh no, without a doubt, but I mean, you look back at his work rate, I mean, he's not even in the picture at the moment. He's come far from the blind side, you know, so as you say, like, he's probably caught the Scottish players off guard a wee bit. He's come from the blind side, but you know, credit to him, he's went over the try line with Rowan Frostwick round his legs and Ollie Smith round his back, so I mean, he's shown a huge amount of strength and power there to finish that off.
Another perfect pass there from Frostwick to release Jacob Henry off his left wing underneath the posts, and that was the try converted that levelled the game at half time.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Scotland, they only went up 3-0, you know, and they were always chasing the game. The pressure was always on them. The scoreboard, they were always behind on the scoreboard once France scored that first try, you know, but they showed great character to get back into the game on 2 occasions. And you know, we spoke about it also, but the second half, you know, we probably didn't give ourselves a foothold in the game early enough to put pressure on France, and you know, France scored a couple of early tries, and here's the first one coming up at the moment.
Yeah, Joseph again doing well as the skipper, and just the power of the French forwards. Then Ligarek just waiting the pass back infield, some good Scottish defensive cover there. Robbie McCallum certainly put himself about, but again Ligarek with a pass on towards Dubas, and this time a great bit of football play just in behind the Scottish backs there, and it was the French right winger Nathaniel Hull who was in for the third try. But all about the half-backs, I think, linking up after some good forward work, forwards just forcing Scotland onto the back foot. Ligarek and Dubas's crossfield kick was absolutely crucial, and it was the right winger who was in for the score. Scrummage here for the Scots. Now how about this for a piece of French pressure and dominance? Scotland would have put in 5 metres from their own line, but it was a man later to be yellow carded, Joshua Brennan, second row forward, receiving the congratulations from his teammates there, crashing over for the bonus point score, and how he enjoyed that moment.
I think here's one for a wee bit trivia as well. I'm not too sure there's many middle rows scored from a pushover try, but there you go. But huge amount of power there up front, you know, and the middle row essentially has disengaged from the scrum and scored the try. So I mean, I maybe have to check the rule book on that one.
Well, certainly it's interesting, you don't see it all that often how they split and almost moved to one side because he had so much space just to lunge over the line. This try we've credited to Ewan Ashman, who also scored against England a few weeks ago in the match at Myerside. So Scotland showing that they can provide some considerable bulk, aided in no small part by George Breeze, the replacement prop forward. But Breeze just taking a breath there, as you can see again from the line out. One second row forward, Cameron Henderson winning the line out ball. Then Ashman comes in about this stage here. Then he joins in. Here is part of the drive now. France just trying to regroup and slow up this Scottish attack. But again, Ashman right in the thick of it. And we think it is Ashman who's grounded the ball. The referee content Adam Jones, the ball was over the line. And a case of what might have been, because that completed the scoring, 22 points to 29. There's a look at the league table. It means that Scotland dropped down a place after Wales inflicted a defeat on England. 23 points to 22. Wales at the foot of the table coming into the round of matches this evening. Of course, we know the Ireland-Italy game's postponed, but 22 points to 29. All in all, you look at those 2 completed matches, a pretty entertaining night of under-20s international rugby, Scott.
No, I mean, Scotland have been hugely competitive over the first 4 fixtures, and they've lost out narrowly on 3 occasions, you know, and picking up 1 win. But I mean, you speak about fine margins, you look at Scotland's last try, you know, they show a bit of power up the front there with the driving line out, and I mean, you look back at key moments of the game. You could say Cameron Scott missing that penalty kick to touch late on after just scoring a driving try. Obviously also you get Kyle McGee taking a quick tap. You know, you look at the opportunities there, you know, having just scored a driving line out also, you know, it's, you know, they'll probably be regretting it. It's a wee bit of missed opportunity. They had a chance, you know, but you learn from the mistakes, you learn from, you know, that experience as well, and being under that amount of pressure. So hopefully it galvanises them, you know, and they can potentially pick up, you know, and you know, another couple of wins to finish off the Six Nations.
Of course, there's still Wales to play, and Ireland against Italy. We will certainly hope that that game is played at some point in the future. But that league table certainly looks very promising from an Ireland point of view. Still out in front, having played the 3 matches, and a game against Italy still to come at some point. But France moving up into second place in the table this evening. A bonus point win here at Netherdale. And again, all credit to the crowd that made their way to the central Scottish borders this evening for a very entertaining night's rugby. 29 points to 22. The French side then leave and head again with thoughts now to Sunday in the capital fixture, with the full international match being played at Murrayfield, the women's international as well, of course, a feature, a very important feature in the weekend, and these sides will go toe to toe more than once before the conclusion of the weekend. But tonight at Netherdale, it was a win for France, a bonus point win, 7 tries in all for the crowd to enjoy. Scotland falling just short, but certainly a credit to their coaching staff this evening. Some work to do in defence, but 3 splendid tries scored in attack. A reminder then of the final score: Scotland 22, France 29. Thank you very much, Scott White, for your company this evening, and we'll of course have further coverage of the Scotland Under-20s Six Nations campaign 2020, with that game against Wales coming up next weekend.